Marc Faber, Mr. Bernanke is a murderer of the middle class.
Yes, that's true. Marc Faber is correct. How did he do it? By lowering interest rates artificially down to near zero. Anyone who's on a retirement, pension plan, etc., or has any kind of savings got wiped out to help the bankers. That was the quid pro quo that Bernanke made with the bankers. I'll murder the middle class. You give me huge bonus money and kudos and let me keep this ridiculously stupid job, chairman of the Federal Counterfeiting Bank.
Well, Marc Faber's quote is, if you print money, everything will go up. And now the money printing doesn't go into housing because we have an oversupply of housing, but it goes into equities and for Mr. Bernanke, unfortunately, into commodities. And this is lifting the cost of living of the median household, of the typical household in the U.S. Mr. Bernanke is a murderer. He's a murderer of the middle class and the working class.
Yeah, it's a sad joke because the point of expanding credit as he did was to try to revive the housing bubble. The housing prices keep going down, but now we see bubbles in food and energy. So not only do people live in housing that's going negative equity, but they're paying more for food and energy, and the result is basically economic, financial death. People are now homeless. Middle class is eviscerated because Bernanke is a fool.
Well, you know, his predecessor, Alan Greenspan, in 1966, speaking of quotes, Max, had this to say: in the absence of the gold standard, there is no way to protect savings from confiscation through inflation. Deficit spending is simply a scheme for the confiscation of wealth. And this is exactly what we've seen. They act as if it's charity, that the low rates are there to help the working class and the middle class to get onto the property ladder, to be able to afford these assets. But you see, from Europe all the way to the United States, all throughout the United States, it's this so-called charity which actually helped murder them financially.
Well, look, Greenspan, when he made those comments, he was also talking about how the Fed, through a monetarist policy, could create a dollar standard that was, quote, as good as gold, which is false. There's nothing as good as gold but gold. And when you give someone like Bernanke or Greenspan or the banks on Wall Street the ability to loan money into existence with no collateral, you're giving somebody the ability to counterfeit money, and the result is inflation and hyperinflation. And, of course, Marc Faber is absolutely correct.
You know, all these central bankers are murderers, therefore they're a class of serial killers. And I think Ben Bernanke might be John Wayne Gacy.
John Wayne Gacy?
The killer clown.
Really?
Whenever he performed as Pogo the Clown at charitable events and performed for children. And he ended up he was using that as a cover to murder 33 children.
Oh yeah, John Wayne Gacy. He'd show up at the kids' show, right, and he'd start making balloon animals. And meanwhile, he'd be out there murdering the kids in the backyard. This is Ben Bernanke. This is the U.S. dollar. It's absolutely worthless. This is Bernanke's contribution to society. He's simply making, what is this, a credit default swap? What is this, a bailout? What do you call this? This is a catastrophe. This is Bernanke's contribution to monetary policy.